it's Sammy for another episode of the I Do Music podcast. And our goal and our mission is to empower and educate musicians and artists worldwide. And on today's episode, we're talking to super producer Fatboi, discussing working with up-and-coming acts, what it means to be a true producer, and his beat battle challenge. You are now tuned into the I Do Music podcast. It's your host, Sammy, and we are sitting here with super producer Fatboi. What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. So I see you got on your Falcons hat.
Oh, yeah, I'm represent, always.
You
Always.
actually, you're from Savannah, though.
Yeah.
Still a Atlanta Falcons fan. You live here in Atlanta. You've been here for a minute.
Yeah. I came to Atlanta in 2006.
Okay.
And, been here ever since.
True. We were just talking a little bit off the record that you lived in San Francisco for a long time, for a while. You grew up there.
Yeah, my dad went to FAMU. So when he graduated college, he enlisted in the Army.
Gotcha.
And that took us from Tallahassee to San Francisco in a place called the Presidio. So they made movies about the Presidio and all that, As a little kid, you didn't know what the Presidio was like that, but, it has some significance in San Francisco like that. So went from, Savannah to Tallahassee to San Francisco, and, that's where I fell in love with music.
Wow. Yeah, we'll definitely get into the family because I know you have a lot of musical background just beyond just you and your interest for it and where that came from. But I wanted to go to a quote that I saw on an interview that you did probably many years ago. You said, when in Atlanta, Fatboi is one of the names that pops up amongst producers in the A. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like you gotta know Fatboi to know producers in Atlanta? Like, what did that mean?
When the trap sound was really starting to bubble and become the new sound in hip hop, it was like four of us that kind of took that particular sound to another level, because we were coming off of the heels of Lil Jon, Jazzy Faye, guys like that, DJ Toomp, and when the Jeezy and Gucci eras began, and of course T.I. and Toomp coined the phrase trap.
Yeah.
But the sound changed with Jeezy and Gucci and all, and the four guys that were doing most of that sound was myself, Shawty Red, Drummer Boy, and Zaytoven. So at that time in Atlanta, when anybody would come in town and looking for that sound,
they were coming in, the Godfathers.
The Four Horsemen was
the Four Horsemen.
One of the guys that everybody was seeking.
Dope.
So
let's rewind a little bit. Like I said, you have a musical family, which I appreciate. You were around music at a young age. Your mom, singer, dad, musician, right? You said your dad was a jazz musician.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So was he doing that as a kid, or he just always, as you were a kid, I'm sorry?
Yeah. Well, he actually, at FAMU, he had a test. Part of it was, written, and another part of it was experimental. And he actually used me as part of his experiment. I probably was only 2-3 years old, but he recorded me blowing his trumpet, and he failed that part of the exam because his professor didn't believe that was his 2-3-year-old son
blowing
his trumpet. But long story short, years later, uh, he went to a homecoming at FAMU, and at that time, FAMU was playing my record, Wasted.
Oh wow.
You know, the marching band, wherever they would
Yeah,
go,
yeah,
they
yeah.
would do my record.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw that professor at the
At the game.
at the game, and he told him, like, remember
That the
that
assignment you filmed me on?
yeah, that's my son's record right there. So,
Wow.
you know, so I guess he gave his professor a big, you know.
Had
So
to. That's
yeah.
crazy. That's dope though. So you didn't actually start in production though. What was your start and your first interest in music? Like, what was the first thing that you actually did?
The first
Created
thing
rather.
I actually did creatively, in high school, uh, I used to, you know, watch like Yo MTV raps, BET, and you know, stuff like that. So I started emulating um, what I was seeing on videos, you know, because being in the South, you wasn't around the hip hop music scene like that, the way it was really going on.
Mm-hmm.
But let me go back a little bit. Growing up in San Francisco, Dr. Dre was who I was watching.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, Dr. Dre was a DJ. Um, so when I left California and I got kicked out of California. That's why, you know,
Why?
well, I was going down that path. You know, my parents, they broke up. My mom came back to Georgia. My dad was, you know, so I ended up in the South with my mom
Gotcha.
after, you know, they split and all that. Um, but Dr. Dre was a DJ
Mm-hmm.
with the World Class Wrecking Crew. So I was seeing Dr. Dre in California. Um, so coming to Georgia, watching, you know, Yo MTV raps and all that. Now Dr. Dre's in NWA.
Mm-hmm.
Still, he's producing NWA, but he was still DJing as well. Um, Jazzy Jeff, all these DJs. So I got into DJing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was probably my first interest
Introduction.
because what I kept noticing, to me, it seemed like all the DJs for these rappers were the producers.
Yeah, right, right.
So I felt like, all right, I'm gonna start a group with my brothers and cousins and all that. I'm gonna be the DJ, which means I'm gonna have to supply the music for y'all to rap to,
Mm-hmm.
and we gonna go from there. So what I used to do was I had this little I had this little cassette recorder that I stole from one of my uncles, and I would take a record, you know, some old record that my mom had or whatever, and the part that I would like on the song, I would record it with
Cassette.
the cassette and pause it, bring that part back, do it again, pause it, bring that part back, pause it.
Oh
You know what I'm
wow.
saying? And that was like I didn't
You
have no
know.
money to get a sampler,
Right,
so
right.
that was my sampling.
Mm.
So, you know, of course, it didn't have no drums or anything like that because all I could do was record what was playing.
Mm.
So the drums in the sample was all I could go by. But
That's dope.
that was like my intro to, you know, making beats for somebody to rap to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And from there, I saved up for like 8 months to get my first equipment, which was a Roland W30 sampler. Took me 8 months, but I got it.
You got it.
I got it.
That's dope. That's a great story, actually. You speak about Camouflage a lot, or you've spoken about him a lot. From Savannah, artist. What part did he play on the progression for you in terms of being a producer and, you know, getting your name out there as well during that time?
Camouflage was my first live action. Like, you know, my group, with my little brother and my cousins, was called, well, it was originally called Black Plague, and then we changed the name to Heartless Hustlers. Um, I originally moved to Atlanta in like 98, 99. Um, that was my first venture trying to get into the music business. So I just did a lot of networking here then. Um, I moved back. I ran out of money, so I moved back.
I feel you.
And at this time, Pure Pain was just opening the door. So what I did there,
Pure Pain Records.
records, right? That was the label. So what I did there, and mind you, at the time with my group, I was spending my own money to put us in the studio, come all the way up here to Stockbridge. And the studio I would record at was called Real to Real. Um, it was the first time I ever been in the studio. You know, I bought my own reels, you know, recorded there and all that. So I got a taste of being in studios. I think this was like 97. Um, so when I moved back, you know, Pure Pain was just opening the doors. And so I rented studio time in their studio like maybe 2 times. And the studio manager slash in-house producer heard some of the music that we were doing, and he talked to the CEO of the label, and he signed me as an in-house producer.
That's dope.
So Camouflage was my first live action producer. Like, can't play with it. Like, we need that fire, because we putting this out.
Was that like pressure for you at the time, or you was ready? He was already ready.
I never felt pressure.
You never felt the pressure?
I never felt pressure, because it's I always felt like I got something to say. I'm gonna show y'all something. You know what I'm saying? So pressure was something. Pressure for me. For instance, if you give me too much time, that's more pressure than pressure.
Yeah.
Because I perform my best when my back is against the wall. So sometimes I'll purposely put my back against the wall because I know I'm going to come out swinging. So, you know, when I have that much leeway, you know, but when it gets here,
You got a smaller window. You
I'm
procrastinating
coming.
almost.
So, and I knew this opportunity, because Pure Pain was so new, Camouflage was so new, this was going to be an opportunity to really make an artist. And for that, you know, I got my first major placement. We were independent. We put his first solo album out in 2000, and that just, you know, started going crazy. The lead single off of that album, which I produced, it started making a lot of noise in the club, called Y'all Don't Want No Drama. Swizz Beats did a review on it and all that. When I heard that, like, Swizz
Right.
Beats?
Right.
He listened to
That's major.
So that was major for me. And for the next album, Camouflage went to jail for an alleged murder. So, you know, that kind of took the sail out my back, but he beat the charges and all that. He was gone for a while too, but he beat the charges. He came home, and we started working on the next album. And he was, you know, when you gone for a long time in jail, you know, you in a dark place. So a lot of the stuff that you writing is dark and reflecting what's going on with you. So we had a lot of those kind of records.
Yeah.
So I'm listening to the album to that point, and we had some dope stuff, but we were still missing like that light, fun club banger
That
type record.
yeah.
And girl record, you know.
Oh, don't do it.
So this beat popped up in my head. I drove all the way to the studio, cut my phone off, you know, license suspended, didn't care. Driving all the way to the studio. Made it to the studio, locked all the doors in the studio, made the beat in like 10, 15 minutes. Opened the doors, let him come in, hear the beat. He loved it instantly, and he started rapping. and started freestyling, but he was freestyling, most of the same
Yeah,
type
yeah.
stuff that like, no, we don't
Not on
need
this
that.
one.
And the next thing that came out of his mouth was, say, hey, little mama, what's your name? And I was like, right there, that's what we need, right there. And that ended up becoming Cut Friends, which was my first major placement and his first big,
Record.
yeah. So that's when, Fatboi was like really born
Gotcha.
after that.
Gotcha. So you talked about working with, or that you get more excited working with the up and coming
Yeah.
artist or the independent artist.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who's not quite on yet.
Yeah.
You've been around a lot of records. For those that may not know, in the beginning, like Gucci, working with 2 Chainz, Titty Boy, Jeezy, T.I., a lot of people. And even now, you're still currently working with the up and comings like TK Kravitz, Lucci, Cardi B. I just am curious as to what excites you most about working with the independent artist versus someone who's, I guess, already on.
Well, and it goes back to, the story that I was just telling. Camouflage was an up and coming. And I gave him his first big record that the world took notice in. So, and it's something that I always tell young up and coming producers, stop chasing, I mean, however you get on is however you get on, but don't try to necessarily get on chasing somebody that's already on, because 9 times out of 10, they already have their guys that they got on with.
Right.
Like I got on with Camouflage.
Right.
DMX got on with Swizz Beats. Snoop got on with Dr. Dre. So it's gonna be hard to get in them camps unless you come with a record that's so phenomenal that it blows anything else that they got out the water.
Yeah, they gotta use it, right?
Then they have to. But for you to really make a mark in this business and stay relevant for a long time, you gotta create an artist, make an artist. So I've when I look back at my career, I've always been involved at the beginning of somebody's career when they took off and blew up. I was always instrumental in something with that. So, and I would love to work with the Jay-Z's, the Beyoncé's, and some of these huge artists like that, but it don't drive me.
Right.
Because they have the people that they go to for singles and all that stuff most of the time. And if I do get a record with them, it looks good on your resume, but if it ain't gonna be a single, that don't move me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want that hit.
Yeah, I want the smash. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to them kind of checks.
I feel you.
I don't want an album filler check. That's just whatever I got paid for being on the album, and that's it.
Right.
So when you're involved in creating the artist, making the artist, you give up and coming artists that smash that they needed to take off. It extends your career even further because
Right.
Look at all these people he worked with and helped. So you never know who somebody's gonna be next year.
That's true. I guess that also brings me to, like, what do you, or could you tell us what you feel the role of a producer is? Because a lot of times, people just be out here making beats, selling them, leasing them, and that's the end of that, right? But for you, it seems like you have been involved in the creative process from actually producing the beat, right? So could you tell me what you feel the role of a producer is?
The role of the producer is, to me, and how it always was until recently. The title producer has kind of changed, but I study the greats. Quincy Jones is like number one on my all-time favorite producers list.
With reason. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
That's
the
the
guy.
best. The best.
So the producer is gonna see a project from A to Z. He didn't just come with Z and bring it to A, and then, you know what I'm saying? It started in the beginning with the artist, and a lot of times, that's just having conversation with the artist, getting to know the artist, um, what's in his heart, what's in his mind, his or her. And that way you can create songs that artist can really tell their story instead of just giving them a beat and let them do whatever they want to do. A producer, not and production ain't necessarily just making the beat. It's also bringing that artist a song already. Like, here's your hit. Learn this, do this. I'm telling you, this gonna go. The artist producer relationship has to be, because if an artist trusts you, you can make a beat with nothing but like farts all over the record, and you were like, yeah, I love that, let's go. You know what I'm saying? So when that trust is there, Michael Jackson trusted Quincy Jones, greatest selling album of all time.
Right.
In the midst of record execs telling Michael Quincy is old, he's jazz, he ain't what we need, don't work with Quincy, it's gonna fail. He ain't listen to all that, and he went with his heart. Greatest album of all time, greatest selling album of all time, at least. So a producer is vital to the whole situation. Like, he's going to see the product A to Z, whether or not he actually did. Quincy Jones didn't make the Human Nature song. He didn't make that beat, but he brought that song to Michael.
Right.
He found that song for Michael and he brought it to him. So that's a producer. It's not just making the beat and stamping producer on it.
I agree. Currently, like I said, you were working with some up and comings. Most of them have some decent like pretty good records already out. I saw TK Kravitz, Lucci, Cardi B. I'm more interested in Cardi B. I'm not gonna lie, because she has a really huge record out already, and people are concerned about the follow up. So, how's it working with someone who is up and coming but coming off a huge record and trying to get in there?
Well, that follow up is key.
Yeah.
If you can, but working with Cardi, like, she's serious about it. It ain't no games. Like, she really wants to make a mark. Like, she knows the direction she wants to be in as well. Like, trying to, people looking at her as a female, blah, 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 whatever. And coming to her with records that they think is more soft, and, that approach right there, this is something you need. And she's like, nah.
That's not what I need.
Give me that.
Yeah.
So she knows what she wants to do, and to me, she's a real artist. Like, and being in the studio, a lot of people wondering if she really writing, and she
do her thing.
She on it.
I feel it. That kind of brings me to you working with back to like Gucci and the Wasted record. Not necessarily his first big record, but Slick. It was a major record and a major record for you. I see you talk about that a lot, just like in the beginning of your career. But I guess for that, how did, when you heard Wasted, how did that make you feel? Like, for you personally, not necessarily Gucci.
When I heard it, like,
when you heard it, when you were producing, when you were in that process, like, how were you like, this is it?
Oh yeah, I knew that record was a hit. 15 minutes into it, I knew it was a hit. Like, and it's weird because Gucci will have a concept in his mind of a record that he wants to do, title and everything. And he came in my studio that day and was just like, Fat, what you think about a song called Wasted? This is where the producer kicks in. So he said that, in my mind, I'm thinking, wasted. Oh, okay, that's like a white boy word. We don't say that. Can I cuss on you?
Yeah.
We say fucked up. That's all I ever noticed, in California, faded.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But the majority of us, I'm fucked up.
Right.
So I'm thinking like wasted. Okay, that's a suburban white word. If I get this the right sound bed, make it sound, upbeat and celebratory, like you just won the big game or something.
Mm-hmm.
That record, because it was a dead word in the suburbs. They wasn't saying wasted like that no more. But it's a word that kids'
Can
parents know,
relate to, yeah.
so they know it. If we do this right, that word is gonna bounce. It's gonna hit the hood, and then it's gonna go back to the suburbs. They gonna pick it back up, and then it's just gonna spread everywhere. So once I started making the beat, Gucci started writing at the same time I was making the beat. We always work like live, right on the spot, like a painter with a canvas. It's just all white, and you just start putting paint on it. That's how we used to work. No beats that I made at the house, nothing like that. Like right then on the spot, I make it. He start writing as soon as he hear something that he like. And I probably made the beat in like 10, 15 minutes. And once I heard the hook, I was like, "Oh, this out of here. This out of here."
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know. It's the first time it's on this podcast that anybody's about to hear this story.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know the initial feature on that record is from Twister.
Really?
Yeah. Twister.
Where's that at?
Twister?
Where is the
It's hidden somewhere in the archives.
you gotta bring that back.
It never saw the light of day because, and when you do when you do a record like that and you know it's big, a lot of times you don't stop at just one artist for a feature.
Yeah.
And whoever kill it, that's a win.
That's true.
So the second artist we sent it to was Plies. And this is all at this moment now. Mm-hmm. All at the moment.
While you're making the beat.
Making the beat. Gucci recorded the first verse and the hook. That's all we had. Sent that to Twister. Twister sent his back like that.
Oh, wow.
Sent it to Plies. Plies sent his back like that. This is all in the same session. Same day. So when Plies sent his back, that's it. But the verse didn't start out like that. Yeah. The verse didn't start off with, "I don't wear tight jeans like the white boys." The verse started out with, "Walked in the club, pocket full of big faces." I cut that, put the white boy part first, and moved the other part to the back. And after that, I was like, "Oh, this is smash. It's gone. It's gone. Over with."
Wow.
So
I'm definitely curious to hear the Twister. So if we can find that, you know what I'm saying, we can keep it on the low. Nobody else has to know.
I mean, Twister, he killed it now. He killed it.
But we had that. I can't imagine it without "I don't wear tight jeans like the white
Exactly.
boys." I can't imagine.
I mean, that's probably one of the biggest punchlines of that year, if not the biggest. So
yeah. So I feel like you have been a part of a lot of records that people don't know about. I met you initially here at Patchwerk, and I just met you as you were very humble. I'm Fatboi, so I didn't know that you were behind so many great records. Do you run into people who often be like, "You produced that? You made that?"
All the time.
Yeah. Talk about, I guess, since we were talking about independent artists and even working with Cardi B, talk about remaining, I don't want to say it like that, but remaining relevant, like continuing to keep up with like the trends, technology advancing as a producer. How do you do that with the evolution of production?
You gotta, whatever the new wave is, you gotta be on top of it. You have to. Again, Quincy Jones, that's my dude. You talking about a guy that started producing in like the 50s, doing classical with Frank Sinatra and a lot of them. You would never think a dude that was doing that, 30 years later would produce the greatest selling album of all time with a completely different sound, a 80s sound. So Quincy Jones kept himself relevant for half a century because he moved like a river. He moved like a river. Like you can't, what's going to happen to a fish if the fish don't move up the stream with the stream?
That's true.
You're going to drown. So you gotta, music moves like a river stream. If the current is going that way, you better go that way. If it's going this way, go that way. Now, you don't necessarily have to follow the stream super direct into it. You can still kind of
do your thing.
Do your thing in it. But go follow the way the stream is going. And technology, when I came into the game, I was a heavy MPC user. I couldn't stand Fruity Loops because Fruity Loops wasn't what it is now. It literally was a bunch of Fruity Loops. That's all it was. They didn't have a DAW where you could actually create music on and all that. So now I use Fruity, and that's primarily all I use now, Fruity Loops. It didn't change my sound per se. I still create music the way I create music and how I hear it. But a lot of the tools that Fruity Loops gives you, I use them because it's the wave that everybody is used to hearing music sounding. So
Right.
I do me, but
staying on trend.
You know
basically.
what I'm saying? Yeah.
What signifies a Fatboi beat? Like, what is the sound? How do we know it's a Fatboi beat besides the tag?
Drums. The drums. I think. I've had people say a triangle. Like, I had a triangle. I used to, like in Wasted, ding.
Mm-hmm.
But I hear a lot of people say, I could tell it was you by the triangle. The triangle? The triangle?
I've done
No, this is dead. I'm dead serious. Like a triangle. I'm thinking you know by the way I do my 808s
right.
and all that. No, a triangle?
I knew that was you by the triangle.
I promise you I've heard this over 24 times.
That's
a triangle?
Hilarious.
You serious? The triangle is what stood out. So,
but you do utilize your tag, and I've asked a couple producers this before, but what's the importance of a producer tag, if it is still important or even more important? Tell us about that.
The tag, to me, I mean, I when I came up, we wasn't doing tags at first. Our generation of producers really started the tag trend. Now everybody tags everything, and you get tired of hearing the tag all the time. You got to tag it. Sometimes let the music speak for itself. I don't always put my tag on. All right, me, I put my tag. My tag is like Blue Magic.
Okay.
The way, in American Gangster, it's like Blue Magic. It's guaranteed. When I put the tag on it, that's how I feel about it. So I don't always put my tag on everything, but if it's one of them things, I'm going to tag it.
I feel you.
So
that.
Tag it and bag it, so it was a way to kind of, up and coming, to kind of let people know who you were, because a lot of times, especially the way things is going now,
in terms
people
of
don't like
credits.
to give credit.
Right.
They I don't know what it is about forgetting to put your credit on the record. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do this record by yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is our record, not yours. You know what I'm saying? Your name is on it. But I put it like this. Long story short, what would you rather hear? An a cappella or an instrumental?
An instrumental.
You can listen to an instrumental. You cannot listen to an a cappella. Nobody wants to hear you just rap by yourself.
That's true.
Because when you do that, it's going to be some stuff in that a cappella that's going to tell on you a little bit. The beat masks some of the inaccuracies in what you did. You're going to hear all the flaws. And as a producer, you leave flaws in the record sometimes because it gives it character.
Right.
It gives it a feeling.
It's organic,
it gives it something, So I leave flaws in the record on purpose. I don't leave mistakes,
Right.
but I leave flaws. So you listening to acapellas, nobody who gonna dance to acapella. I don't know if y'all remember that. Y'all remember that beat, the no words in that record.
Yeah.
But when I was a DJ, I played that song in the club. No words. And they was jamming their ass off. But you put on the acapella, they finna stop dancing.
That's true.
So, give these producers their credit, man, because y'all ain't making these records by yourself, for real.
I agree. So that just perfect transition into handling the business part of it. How would you, for those up and coming producers listening, what are some things you recommend for the producer in terms of being in a session, leaving a session, getting the record, getting your credit? Let's say that, getting your credit.
Some things I handle the business right then and there. Like,
are you still in the business of using split sheets? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm just asking.
Some
people don't.
I mean, but see, I don't know if this is our fault as the generation before this generation, or whose fault it is, but when I was coming in the game, I tried to find out everything I could. I bought books. I had literature. I read. I asked questions. I tried to learn every and anything about the business.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I had a talent to do music, but you hear all the stories about people that got shafted throughout their careers and all that. And Master P put everybody up on game how to really get your money in this business and all that. So it was always a point for me to really learn the inside of it and how it worked and all that. But right now today, I still see a lot of dudes that don't know nothing about splits, nothing about publishing. And now that we in the social media era, all they really care about is
clout. Clout.
That's it.
That's the word of 2017, 2018 is clout.
I'm on IG. I've been on IG since it started popping, and I only got 7,000 something followers. I don't care about that. Pay me. That's what I care about. You know what I'm saying? So we're in that social media era, and everybody doing things for the likes. Their platform. They trying to, and I understand that. That's cool, but I just never been the way I grew up. You stay in the shadow. You don't put your business out there. You know what I'm saying? So that's just, I'm still like that.
Do you manage yourself or do you have a manager?
Yeah, I still have a manager, but I mean, it's still to the point. It's at the point where I kind of sell myself. You know what I'm saying?
So at what point did you seek management as a producer, or do you feel like it's necessary to seek management when you're up and coming?
It's necessary. Well, me personally, I sought management after Camouflage passed away. And being an in-house producer, at that time, after that, I thought it was time for me to spread my wings and work with any and everybody. Instead of just a controlled entity. But it's important. It's important to have management because not everybody wants to deal with the artist.
Mm-hmm.
You need a bad guy. Because it can be a situation where the artist themselves rubs an exec or somebody the wrong way, and they just I don't want to deal with him.
Right.
You got a manager, let him be your bad guy. He's representing you. He knows the game plan. Let him do all the bad talking to somebody else and keep you protected.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, it's overkill when you try to do each and every aspect of your business by yourself. That's just too. It's too much.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss something. Um, and for yourself, sometimes you're gonna come with crazy demands for yourself. You know, like unless you like LeBron James, you get like LeBron, you sell yourself, and it turns into something else. Now I'm gonna give you a job, even though you don't know anything about that. I sell myself, so all you got to do is like, look, this is what we want, just
Right. You
tell
just
them
tell
that,
them. Yeah.
you know.
That's dope. Do you mind sharing about the period of time that you spent away from the industry and how that affected you and how it felt to come back?
The period of time away from the industry,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's
Because when that was in the or what time was that during your career?
that was 03, 04.
Oh, three.
Yeah, so it's it's well, you're definitely in the dark place, um, because when you go on those kind of vacations, um, everybody's always watching BET, whatever. So when that's your lifestyle up there on the TV, that makes you feel like, man, I do that. Y'all watch that. I do that. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like, and then you got guys that when they find out who you are, um, they want you to sing all the songs. Like Fatboi, take us to the club. What?
No.
This ain't no club. You know where we at? So, it was your life being on pause ain't never, it's never good. But when you have a promising career, you always wondering is the world going to forget about me
Right.
when I
Right.
come back?
Right.
Am I going to be able to catch this momentum? Fortunately for me, um, I was only gone, a short time. Even though in my life that was a long time, a year, 12 months is a long time for anybody to just be on pause.
Right.
But fortunately for me, um, the best part of my career was still ahead of me,
Mm-hmm.
because I still hadn't ran into Jeezy or Gucci or none of that. So fortunately for me, I bounced back from that. But yeah, it's and then and mind you, this was right after Camouflage was killed. He was just killed like a couple of months before. So I had to take all that in there with me. Like I'm
Right.
still dealing with that. I ain't over that.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it was rough.
I think a lesson in that though is just like continuing to move forward because I really wanted to ask you that because I have been watching how Gucci pretty much rebranded himself and his career.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always like a comeback. There's room to still do more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your situation was a little different, and it still worked out in your favor. You still out here working and getting it in.
Yeah. I mean, I feel Gucci, and Gucci was gone 3 years.
Right, right.
It's hard for anybody to come back after 3 years
Mm-hmm.
because when he came back, the game changed.
Mm-hmm.
Music was sounding different.
Mm-hmm.
It was a newer generation coming along, but his OG status. And then he, even though he was gone,
He still has stuff.
he stays working,
Right.
so he still kept himself relevant. And the world has so many Gucci verses. At least us in Atlanta, we all had so many Gucci verses. We could still put verses here and there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I I wanted to ask you too because I know that guys probably worked a lot here at Patchwerk. If you can think of like your first or your first time working at Patchwerk and like your relationship with us here.
my first time working at Patchwerk,
You remember it?
it was actually with Camouflage.
Really?
We did a record called "Laying My Stunt Down" with Birdman from Cash Money in 995. Um, on I think they had an Atari board in there then. It's a SSL in there now,
Mm-hmm.
but it was an Atari board in there. Um, well, I'm gonna come back a little bit. First time I met Kurt, I called Kurt. Um, I can't remember the year, but it was at the old location.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody's familiar with the history of Patchwerk, they know it was a previous location before this
This one.
location.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have no money whatsoever. But I'm visual. Like, I visualize things that I want to do, and I have to come to it, see it, touch it, be around it, all that. So I called Kurt, and this probably was around like 98 when I was moved to Atlanta the first time. And I scheduled like a visit to, a tour.
Mm-hmm.
I came up, he walked me around, took me on tour, showed me the facility and all that. And just looking at boards and albums on the store, because Patchwerk was like a record label back then too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at records, getting prepared to go
Go
out the
out.
door for So I knew that I had to do that. So it was like a dream of mine to like work in this studio. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big studio.
Mm-hmm.
And this location is much bigger than the other spot that they had. But finally, I got my opportunity, and I think 2002 was the first time that I worked in Patchwerk, and Mike was my engineer.
Why you laugh?
Mike was because his hair is still the same. His hair was just like it is right now to this day. And he mixed the record for us. He mixed the record later. We recorded it here. And we were still recording with ADATs.
Mm-hmm. Just talk about
A
that.
dinosaur format. We were still recording with ADATs. We didn't know anything about Pro Tools yet.
Yeah.
Pro Tools was a new medium that everybody was working on. So Baby kept making a mistake on the record, and I kept correcting it. I was being a producer. I was making sure he get our record right. I don't know how y'all do Cash Money records, but this is our record. So he was getting a little frustrated with me and all that, but I didn't care. Like, you can hate me. This for him. This we need this to be right.
Mm-hmm.
So when he did the hook, I was still like, we got to do this again, live. He was like, just fly it. I'm like, fly it? What the hell is fly it? What do you mean? So I literally took that record from Patchwerk, took it back to Savannah, and took the hook, sampled it into the MPC, and copied it through the MPC, and that's how I placed it in
Oh, wow.
in the record. So after that, we got Pro Tools after that.
Right. Things to be a little bit easier.
I'm mad. I'm going back to Savannah like, man, that man did the hook one time, man. And what do you mean by fly it? I don't know. What's that? So after that, we got Pro Tools. So then I understood, okay, that's what he meant. Fly it. All right. So
that's dope. You talked before, or when you originally started the story, about how you first interacted with Patchwerk. It was early on.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned I have any money. But I saw an interview where you were talking about not having, same situation, not having any money, but also working for free. That's like almost a lost, like, people don't do that. A lot of people in my generation, a lot of up-and-coming people don't believe in not working for free. I'm not one of them. But can you just speak on that, like, being humble, working for free, and I guess like the value of that today, even, and back then? Well,
I came from the generation of, you as an artist, I'm gonna make you pop. Like, so we gonna get in and we gonna do all this, free stuff between us.
Right.
But we gonna blow up. We gonna believe in the dream, and we gonna make it happen. that was my version of free.
Mm-hmm.
Because once I got the Pure Pain, free stopped. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, it ain't free like that. You know, I'll work in between the checks, but I got to get a check.
Definitely.
But at the same time, though, you know, this mixtape tape game really took off with us, with my generation of producers. Me, Shawty Red, Zay, Drummer Boy, um, Mike Will. You know, I might be forgetting a couple of names, but that's when but we was getting paid. We was getting paid for those mixtapes. And handsomely, I might add. You know, like we was getting broke off. Every mixtape we did, we got paid.
Mm-hmm.
So it ain't like we never were really part of the free wave. You know, there was value in what we were doing, and we kept a premium on our value. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So some guys after us started this free band stuff. You know, where you want to get on so bad that you'll just give this guy a beat.
Right.
And I remember the first time I heard that Young Jock was playing me a record that he just did, and you know, I asked him who did the beat. He's like, man, some little dude around the corner, man. He just gave it to me. I knew right then when he said, I didn't say nothing to him, but I knew right then when he said that, I was like, this finna be a problem. Cause if this word passed that this little dude's out here giving away free beats,
right.
It's gonna start devaluing the producer. That's why you have so many beat makers now versus producers. Producers cost money. Beat makers, just give me a beat. I'll do what I want to do to the beat. So, the free band guy, it's kind of a funny thing. Cause to me, I think it's free bands all over the place now. Everybody want something for free. These artists, they want producers to send them stuff for free all the time now for mixtapes. But the flip side of that is big records is coming off these mixtapes now.
Right.
So now you're more willing to. It took me a long time to kind of get into that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then this lease beat thing, that was just a foreign language
I'm like,
to me.
leasing, it's too much to think about. It's like you can lease the beat for a certain amount of time, or you can pay it outright, or you can. I'm like, I don't know. It's interesting.
That's weird to me. And then it's like, okay, you as a producer, you had this kind of success. You got new dudes coming in, and you're trying to find, where do I place? You know, if I get involved with this, with the leasing game, how do I price myself in the leasing market?
Right.
Where am I?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I have a resume. Like and I get this much majorly.
Right.
These are my rates. So how do I price myself? And I wouldn't do the leasing games. It's like, and then when I did start quoting lease prices, that was too much for people. It's like, well, I don't know.
What do you want me to do?
I don't know. I don't understand. Because I'm like, well, what's in your budget? And they say something like $50. That is an insult to me. $50? What I'm going to do with $50? Wipe my ass? I got kids. And $50 don't do nothing for them. Nothing. I got bills in the tens of thousands. What is $50 going to do? Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So that was just, man, I just.
You don't get it.
I still don't get it. I will never get the leasing game. Because I'm like, okay, you do understand now. You lease this beat. I'm still going to be selling this beat.
Right.
And if somebody pop with this beat, what you going to do with it now? You out of whatever, because I'm not selling it. I'm not leasing it for $50. You got to at least come with $300 or $500. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, the leasing game, I ain't.
Not your talk. I feel it. You mentioned having children. My question for you is like, how do you balance your personal life with? I mean, you're flying out tomorrow. in the morning. So like, how do you manage your personal life with the music?
It's rough. It's rough because when you're always working, that's time away from your kids. You know, they see you see the people that you work with more than you see the kids a lot of times. You know what I'm saying? So, but what what I do try to do is I try to make Sundays family day. Like I'ma chill with, you know, family or my kids or something like that. You know, I always try to make sure one day is, you know, set aside for kids. But my kids don't even live in Atlanta.
Oh, so it makes it even more
So
difficult.
that makes it even more difficult. You know, so whenever I go where they are, then it's, you know, I try to, but when that happens, I try to take like a complete week off
Right.
and just, you know, chill with them. But yeah, it's rough, and you have to try to find that balance somewhere. You know, if you're married and, you know, with kids, then that's probably a little better. Um, but even then, unless you have a studio in your house, you're gone a lot. And this is as a producer. If you're an artist, it's even worse. You know, so it's you have to try to find that balance. And but at the end of the day, it's providing your kids with a better life. You know, you can do more things for them, give them things that you didn't have growing up as a kid. So, you know, there's a flip side to it. You know, but you still have to have that presence in their life to, you know, that father figure.
Right.
You know, they need dad, so you gotta
be dad.
Yeah.
And producer, super producer
at the same time.
at the same time.
But they like it though. They do like
I mean,
it.
I'm sure it's pretty cool to
Yeah.
to be like the kid of a super producer.
Yeah, especially when somebody comes up to them like, "Can your dad do this?" You blah, blah. You know,
Yeah.
they like that stuff.
That's what's up. I wanted to ask you too, or I guess now currently, what it is or where you see yourself going with this new direction of music. We talked about staying on stream, but also just like for you personally, where you see yourself and what you want to do moving forward.
Musically, I want to get into scoring more. TV sync licensing. I had a truth.com commercial last year, I believe. One of my records was in that campaign.
That's cool.
So that was like my first
Taste of that.
taste of yeah. So, and you know, the checks from that, they're a little different. They're a little different.
That's a good thing, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's a
That's
good thing. They're a little different because that TV is, you know, it ain't like, it's not like radio play where your record can, sometimes it'll start trending up and then all of a sudden
Right.
it goes down, and then, you know, the money will dissipate with that. When it's on that TV, it is what it is. You know, like if the campaign is going to be run for a year, which this Truth.com campaign was run for, it was run for a whole year. What it is in that's what it is.
Right.
It ain't gonna go
Up or down.
or come down unless some lawsuit comes in somewhere, and they're gonna, you know, they're gonna cross all their T's and dot all their I's and make sure that's not gonna happen. But more scoring is where I wanna, you know, movie scoring.
That's dope.
Yeah.
I love music and film and television, so that's dope.
It gives it the emotion, you
And
know?
yeah, and you in Atlanta, you in a place to be for entertainment in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't really even have to be here for real. You just got to know the right people. Is that how that works?
Yeah. That is, yeah.
Get it into the film side.
Yeah. And a lot of times just be in the right place at the right time.
That's true.
Just um, you know, Patchwerk. Kurt always having events around here and people come around. You run into
All sorts of
people.
people.
Yeah. If you open your mouth and talk to some of them, you'd be surprised at some of the people that's here.
Yeah.
So it's you know, great networking opportunities and all that. That's probably my biggest um issue is I don't like to come out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I just like to stay in my cave and I come out to work and then I go back in.
No.
So,
Networking is important for sure.
it is. And I'm just like I'm a low key, laid back person. Um I'm talkative when I engage with you,
Mm-hmm.
when I know you, when I like you. But outside of that, I really don't want to say shit.
I feel you.
I just want to watch the Falcons on Sunday. Um, watch movies on Fire Stick and chill. When I ain't working, if somebody shows up to my house unannounced, I may look at you out the door and never answer it. Like, I didn't tell you to come here. Like, why you here? I don't want to talk right now. So even getting me on the phone is hard. I'll text with you all day long because I can stop a text. But some people don't know how to say bye. Just they keep going. You're like Lil Jon when he had that skit. Bye, nigga. So
Well, I'm happy we can get you to talk today.
well, this business. You turn the light on.
Now we're here.
And then when you leave, it's like, I'm pretty sure I talked to Kurt,
Mm-hmm.
because Kurt always gonna say something ignorant about Michigan State or, you know what I'm saying? Like, he gonna say something that's gonna jug me and get me going. You know what I'm saying? But besides that, this family up here, so, I talk up here, but
Yeah.
when I go out that door,
Mm-mm.
I ain't got too much to say to nobody.
Some things are better left unsaid, right? So you're a humble guy. We've seen that here, but I also feel like you're very confident in what you do and what you produce. You always seem like you know something that other people may not know. And I get the feeling that if any of the so-called top producers were to challenge you in a beat battle, not only would you accept, but I feel like you know that you would beat them. What is it about that for you?
I absolutely would. I extended invitations to a beat battle after Swizz Beats and Just Blaze had their battle.
Yeah.
I extended one. I put that out there.
Like whoever trying to challenge me.
Let's go. It's my colleagues, whether it's, I really kind of extended out a beat battle between me and Shawty Red,
Oh, really?
me and Zay, me and Drummer.
Yeah,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, yeah.
That'd be fine.
I'm going.
Do you hear stuff that other people do and just know, like, I could beat that, like I could top that?
All day. I come from that. I come from the battle area. The battle era. That's what
But
it's always been survival of the fittest. It's always been only the strong survive.
Right.
It's always ain't nobody better than me. That's hip hop. That's hip hop, period. I am humble, but I still got that ego too.
you say you still talk that.
Ain't nobody gonna fuck with me. That's how I feel.
On the other side of it, though, do you feel like there's stuff out there that you've heard that you feel like you can't mess with, or?
Nah. I ain't never felt like that. I ain't never felt like it ain't something that I couldn't mess with. Never, ever. I might hear something that made me go,
Right.
okay. But that just inspires me.
Right.
That don't scare me. I ain't never been scared. I ain't never been scared.
So when we doing the beat battle?
Huh?
When we doing the beat battle?
When I tried to set it up, it's like it's I don't know. Matter of fact, I think when I extended the invitation on Instagram, Oz hit me up like, yo, we
We do
handling
that.
that here.
Right,
Like we
right.
gonna do that at Patchwerk, blah blah blah. Yeah. So ask Oz. Oz saw it. He saw it. Yeah. I ain't scared at all. That's to anybody. I don't care.
Well, this is
That's to
open
all of them.
notice
If
to
Quincy
any.
wants something, he can get it too.
Not Quincy, right? You stupid.
I get Quincy out. Let's go, Quincy. You the man, but you can get something too.
Anybody want it? We got you.
It's like when Muhammad Ali beat up who was Larry Holmes. When Larry Holmes beat up Muhammad Ali, that's like his idol. He went up, and after it was over with, he went up to Muhammad and was like,
Respect.
hugged him and damn near started crying, right there after the fight was over. So, I mean, if I beat up Quincy, I'm going to do the same thing. Like, just go over there, crying, and I'm sorry, Quincy, man, I had to do it. You was in the way.
Quincy, if you're listening. If you're listening.
You was in the way, man. Don't try to pull out Billie Jean and think that's just gonna knock me off. Nah. You got to come harder than that. We gonna keep going. I got them for days too, just like you.
Lord, that is funny. That's funny. Well, I'm here for the beat battle challenge, and I'm happy to have had you sit down and open up to us on the podcast. You always family here at Patchwerk and vice
Absolutely.
versa. So, Fatboi.
Oh, I'm.
Yes.
If Southside watching, we sat right here in this room one time, and we talked about putting a battle together. My generation,
that'd be
drummer, Shawty, Zay, who did I leave out? Drummer, Shawty, Red, Zay, and me, and D Rich, and 808 Mafia. Like it was gonna be a beat bangers battle versus 808 Mafia. We talked about that. We never put it together, but yeah,
it's time to execute because I think that would be fine. That would be actually very fine.
We can do it.
I mean,
it's a lot of 808 Mafia guys now, though.
It is a lot.
Since the time me and Southside talked about that to now.
But the original, we can let's put that together.
We know Southside them was they was like the little homies that when me and Gucci was in the studio, they was right in the studio running around like your bad little brothers, just running around the studio bringing girls up there and all that. Just like, man, sit y'all little ass down. They were like the little bad little brothers just having fun. Him, Walker, so
yeah.
Them little bros, but. Yeah, we talked about it right here in this room.
Y'all can get it too. Y'all can get it too.
I'm pretty sure Southside feel the same way.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it is what it is. It's all free. It's all friendly fire. But I ain't trying to miss. I ain't trying to just shoot by your head. I'm gonna try to dome you.
He's so serious. I love this. I love it. Where can I find you and follow you on the social media?
All my social media is the Fatboi, TheFatboi.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, like I said, for sitting down with us and telling us all about this. Hopefully, we can get the beat battle going. As always, thank y'all for tuning in to the I Do Music podcast.
Scared, man.
They not scared. You can find me at Sammy Approved on social media. And thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you.
Thank y'all.
Sonically superior.